Hello, hello, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the X Factor podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw from last night. A lot to unfold from last night. A lot went down, a lot happened, and it's going to be very interesting to think about, what happened, excluding also what happened at the main event of Monday Night Raw last night. Always remember to follow and subscribe. Follow the Twitter. Follow the TikTok. X Factor Sports or Olus. It's all right there. And subscribe. Subscribe if you like more wrestling, football content like this coming your way, and more football content coming here soon. Right here on the X Factor podcast, and the X Factor Gaming channel will be out very soon. Now, to start the show, Rhea Ripley comes out. I know there was some speculation throughout the whole day of whether, rumors that she was hurt. She got hurt in either at WrestleMania or the stuff with Liv Morgan last week. And Rhea Ripley came out with a sling. She was not very happy, it looked like, or seemed like. And she came out and said that she had to vacate the championship. She put the championship down. And she said when she comes back, or whoever's champion, she's coming right after them. So Liv Morgan comes out and antagonizates her a little bit. Tries to, put more to the wound. And Rhea Ripley tried to go after her, and, security guard stopped her. She ended up headbutting a security guard, and that was the end of the first part of Raw. Liv Morgan, we all know Rhea took her shoulder out, and now Liv gets her revenge and takes her with her shoulder. And I know later down the episode she said that everyone was giving her dirty looks or bad looks, but yet no one was doing that to Rhea when Rhea did it to her and took 8 months off of her career. So you could tell that there is a little bit of, I feel like it's a little bit of a heel turn. I think they did a little bit of a double turn right there. Liv Morgan, if she was, I don't really know, because the crowd is more favoring Rhea in that moment. If they do a double turn, that'd be interesting. The way how the whole rivalry started with her turn on Liv, and then going after her shoulder. Like 3 years in a row, around this time period, something's happened with them too. 2022, Rhea turns on her. Then last year, the shoulder injury. And then this year, Rhea's shoulder injury. It's like, there's 3 years of storytelling right there, right in front of us. And now it's going to have to hold on for another couple months, or hopefully till SummerSlam. And I am guaranteeing that maybe Liv wins the championship match next week. They announced that there will be a Women's World Championship match next week. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup going for them. I don't know if it's a battle royal. I thought they were going to go with a tournament. So it could be the way that's where they're going. And if they go with a battle royal, it's going to most likely, I think, Liv Morgan will probably win it. And then Rhea Ripley will come back and they'll continue their feud going forward. Me personally, it sucks for Rhea because I've been someone who's enjoyed Rhea Ripley, and at the start I was critical because she was not doing much with the Women's World Championship, and then later her title reign it's like she was doing the best of what she had through that entire title reign. Because let's be honest, the main event scene for Monday Night Raw on the women's roster was not great. And that's where I mentioned a lot of times where that women's mid-card championship comes into play, where it should be there, not the women's tag division. Because if you would have had mid-card championships, you could have built up some wrestlers like a Katana Chance, Kaden Carter. Hell, you see Candice LeRae going right now through her heel turn, and the way they're having her look, she could be one of the better heels on Monday Night Raw as a women's wrestler. And then you got Indy Hartwell, who is someone that she's a women's champion, and they haven't really done much with her. Hell, you have Tegan Knox, who they haven't done much with. Xia Li, not done much with. There's a whole roster on that Monday Night Raw side that they could have used it. They could have used well with a mid card division, and not the tag division. Hell, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Like, those are two women wrestlers that don't need to be in a tag team. Boom, you put them right there in the singles action. They're great. They're great overall. And then, of course, with Nia Jax come back later down the year of last year, she became a main event scene herself, and she's looked a lot better in this last run than she did at any time in her first run. And then other women wrestlers that could have benefited off that mid card shift is Zoe Stark. She's awesome at what she does. She's an amazing wrestler. Shayna Baszler, amazing at what she does. And they could have, and Shayna Baszler, who has been going down the card the last couple of years, and that's not her fault. It's mainly Vince's shitty stuff going on. She could have, they could have put her in a spot where she could become a women's Intercontinental champion, or around this time this year she could have been in sight for the women's title. But that's what my opinion is on it. It's not really, for me. It's like, you see how the Intercontinental title division's going through. When he first came up, he looked promising, and then by the end of his title reign, he looks like he's a guy that could be either Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes or all that. You have guys like Cena, who's came around in the mid-card division, boom, won their championship, go on to the world title. Randy Orton, like, if they would have had this with the women's division, they would have the same amount of competitive matches for women's matches than they do with men's matches a lot of the time. And I don't know if that could just be something that they're not really looking into, or it could just be with how NXT. I think NXT is what they're getting, is their guinea pigs. They're seeing what they're doing with the Women's North America Championship, and if it goes well, then it's like, here we'll give you, it's knowing how much it works on NXT, let's see how it works on the main roster. And no one's seen how NXT and Shawn Michaels and Triple H's booking's way too different with each other. Hell, when Shawn Michaels was there, Cameron Grimes was actually doing stuff, Triple H takes over with him, and he hasn't done shit since. So who knows what, how it would go with the main event scene or the main roster stuff. So, like I said, it's just something to look forward to upcoming months, see how they go with it. But up next, the return of Sheamus. Sheamus came out. He had the start of his current theme, and then it ended up being his old theme. I was very excited for that. I love his old theme. I think his old theme is one of my favorite, one of the best in the last 20 years, in my opinion. That was such an amazing theme to come out to. I was very confused on his attire. He was wearing it's not the usual tights that he wears. It's like a longer version, like Matt Riddle's, and it was very weird to look at, because it's just, we've never seen Sheamus in that type of form before. And also, very excited to know that he didn't have a squash match. Because I'm sorry, I'm not interested. One of the things that frustrates me the most is when a wrestler comes back and boom, they have a squash match. Like, Jade Cargill has an exception because they're building her up to be a star. So when her big moment comes, she'll deliver. Now, with a guy like Sheamus, Sheamus can have a 5-star banger matches, and he comes back and it's like, okay, he's most likely going to have a squash match. Boom, Ivar comes out. It's like, ooh, okay, now you have my attention. That is one way to get my attention. And they had a pretty good match. Sheamus, before the first commercial break, hit him with a white noise off the top. It looked very scary at first, but then Sheamus was able to get hold of him and, been able to get down. and he looked very good in his first match back. Ivar, who's been a guy who, if you haven't been watching much, Ivar's been a guy who has been with the Viking Raiders. Eric got hurt, and he's been able to. His tag team partner Eric got hurt with a neck injury. He's been able to go into single scene and look like a potential Intercontinental U.S. champion at some point in the next year or two. Um, Hell, if he went after the world title picture or the WWE Championship, I wouldn't even be mad with it. I love how Ivor has been forming as of late. Um, but they had a very good match to start off the show. Sheamus won off a bro kick. Love seeing the bro kicks. So as of what's next for Sheamus, there's a couple things that could be out for him. One of the things I want to see him with, I want to see him and Cody Rhodes have a match. I feel like them two would have a very good match. I feel like this would have to be after the draft, because in one of the things is we learned from last year is that the first month at the WrestleMania, it's a little bit of a squibble for everything, because the draft hasn't happened yet, and then once the draft happens, boom, everything's all settled in. Now this year is way more different than last year. It has the same feeling about how everything's going to be, and yes, Backlash, it's going to, if you look at the card, and that card hasn't even came out yet, but this is what happened last year. I feel like it's going to be the same this year. The card last year, it looked like it was going to be an okay pay-per-view, and it ended up being a very good pay-per-view. Now, this year, I feel like we're going to get that same thing. It's going to be like an alright pay-per-view, but it's going to end up being a very good pay-per-view. And then, after the draft, and the thing is with this year and last year they didn't have, this year they don't have Vince coming around and screwing everything up. And this year, now they have the split tag titles. Everything's all split. So now they also have general managers with Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, so hopefully they stay in their own way with everything and then keep it up with how they used to have it back in the Ruthless Aggression era. I feel like when they've had two shows that have two separate rosters, two separate championships, I feel like that's when it's always been better for wrestling. We've seen it in the Ruthless Aggression era. We've seen it in 2016 to 2019-ish era. And then we're seeing it, now with this, wrestling's always better when you have two shows with two different rosters. It's just been a good history with it. So like I said, this year it's gonna be it's a lot different, but there's a lot of the same. But with the two divisions being all split up, it's gonna be very good for both. And speaking of the tag titles being split, R-Truth, Miz got new title designs. Our Triple H came out. I thought when Triple H came out, they were giving Cody a new championship, and it looked like it was more wider. And then it's okay, yeah, they're having new tag titles, and the design, I like the design, but I've seen people on the internet going what happened to creativity with designs and all this. It's there used to be a lot of good creativity. But if we're in today's 30 and based off how all the titles look like, those are pretty good looking titles, in my opinion. And one of the things, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I said it to one of my family members, that they needed to add the tag titles as the world tag titles and the WWE tag titles. And that's what they did with the tag titles. Since you have the world championship, you have the women's world championship on Raw, boom, you put in the world tag titles, the world tag team championships, and the designs, they look pretty well. They gave me, when I first look at them, they gave me of a mid 1990s WCW type tag titles, and it's not a knock on the titles. I like the WCW titles, the one with the gold all around it and has the top world on top. Very nice looking titles. And it gives me that look with those titles, and I really like them. And anything's better than the penny looking, titles that they've had for at least 15 years. One of the most uglier titles we've ever seen. But seeing those tag titles and then Truth coming out calling Triple H Tommaso Ciampa, that was very funny. Like, Truth was literally, like, said, was confused on magic, on the tag titles being magically put there. Miz was trying to tell him, no, those were actually there. And he goes, that's what a magician would say. Um, very funny. Very funny. The best part was when he called Triple H Tommaso Ciampa. That was very funny. And then they ended up having a triple threat afterwards. DIY, the Creed Brothers, New Day. When the New Day came out, there was a little bit of a QR code thing that popped up. And then it was an Uncle Howdy type. And you get to it and it gives you words, not like 2 pages of words that are like split up. You put it together and it says WWE.com something after that, and it takes you to a picture of a bird, like a sculpture of a man, and like fire a little bit. If you look up the pictures, they'll be right there. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm very interested to see what they're going with this. Because now that Bray Wyatt's no longer in the picture, like, since he's not, around anymore, it's like, it'll be very interesting to see how they go with Uncle Howdy and who they put it. And a lot of rumors it's been with Braun, Eric Rowan, Alexa Bliss, and then I seen Matt Hardy post the same thing. So could they potentially add Matt Hardy to the group, which would make perfectly sense based off Bray Wyatt's history with Matt Hardy. As Matt Hardy wrestling, I'm not very interested. I feel like his good years have passed him by a long time ago. I feel like that his best option would be to be a manager, and I would be happy with him as a manager. Woke, broken Matt Hardy as manager, that would be something to look forward to week. But like I said, I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. But yeah, that's just the role of it now. DIY ended up being the Creed Brothers in New Day. Oh, and speaking of the Creed Brothers, get that god-awful Death Rebel crew off the people who make their theme music. Please. Man, I can't speak on how much I hate them so much. Death Rebel, I hate them. Like, they make some of the worst music for theme music I ever hear. Bring Jim Johnston back or something, please. Someone bring him back, please. Like, it's really awful. But DIY beats New Day and the Creeds, and it was a very good match. So now next week the Creeds and the DIY and Awesome Truth will win. I'm hoping DIY wins, but knowing that Awesome Truth just won the titles, I doubt it's seeing happening. But DIY as tag champs would be great. Andrade faced Dominic Mysterio. They had a backstage segment of them all worried because of Rhea Ripley. I know that earlier in the show I didn't mention it, but they hugged her. They said they missed her, loved her, and got all the tissue stuff away. And you have Finn, you have JD and Dom questioning what's gonna happen next. Damian Priest stepped up and told him that we're still Judgment Day, we're still run WWE, and pretty much told Dom, you're gonna win your match tonight against Andrade. JD, you're gonna help. Boom. They went over there, didn't go well in their favor, and then one of the things that really catches your eye a little bit is Finn is like, hey, we should probably be looking after going after the tag titles again, and damn well Damian wasn't into it because he shut him down quick and made Finn think of something else. And it's like, okay, now here we go. This is like a development, because when Finn gets the point where he knows that Damian doesn't want to go after those titles, Finn's gonna, get some resentment. I bet you by the time Rhea comes back, Judgment Day is gonna be falling apart. Like they're gonna be falling apart to like a thread. I don't like who knows if they'll even be a thing by the time she gets back. Um, and if you want to go after tag gold, boom, you have JD and Dom sitting right there. JD doesn't do much besides lose, and Dominic could do some tag title stuff. He doesn't really do much either. And Finn, he could go up to the Intercontinental title. I feel like that's how it should have been the whole time. Damien and Finn going up to the main championships, and then Dom and JD go up to the tag titles. I feel like that's how it always should be. You have the stronger guys, the more upper main eventers go up to those championships, and then you let Dom and JD who's not in my perspective, who's not really in that spot to be in the mid card yet, or based off how he's booked. I feel like he could go in the mid card division and all that and be perfectly fine. Same with Dom. But when you're catching L after week after week after week, it's like, okay, well, then you put them in tag titles. It's like much better for them. But Andrade and Dominic had a very good match. Dominic Mysterio is pulling out Canadian Destroyers now. It's fucking crazy. It was on the apron. And one thing, we've not seen many Canadian Destroyers hit in WWE, but we've seen 2 of them in the last couple of months, and it's like crazy because like I've seen people get down on AEW about how Canadian Destroyers and how to sell them, and the back-to-back Canadian Destroyer thing that Orange Cassidy and Penta did and all that. Now that WWE starts doing it, it's like, ooh, have another conversation. But I feel like a Canadian Destroyer is always like, it's one of those that it should be a finisher, but it's not. And it's always a good move. Like, I'm always going to pop for a Canadian Destroyer, even if you sell and turn it to another one. Like, I'm always going to pop because that's just how I like my wrestling. To me, a bad match, one thing you'll know from me, a bad match is either if the wrestlers are too slow or if there's a lot of botches. If there's those, then that considers a bad match. If everything runs smooth and I'm liking it, it's like, all right, boom, you have your match. Have a good match. So in Dominic and Andrade, they had a good match. Andrade's elbow was insane. Dominic sold that thing like a champ. Andrade got the win. Can't wait to see Andrade go after some singles gold at some point. He's done very good with that. And then we're gonna get into it with Chelsea Green, Piper Niven versus Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, and Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree versus Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Those matches were just like 2-minute, nothing really big, much matches. I think they're at least 4 minutes in total for both matches. Indy Hartwell's finally getting her, understanding what Indy or that Candice LeRae is trying to do for her. She was pulling out a lot of heel tactics that Candice would pull, and that's what helped them got the win. If they could keep on with that, then maybe, you see it go against the Kabuki Warriors at some point. And then you have Piper Niven and Chelsea Green versus Katana Chance Kindergarten. Another really short match. Piper Niven and Chelsea Green won. I really don't know what... And I'm going to get on this again. Like, with the main event, with the main eventers on the women's side, they get their time. They get a lot of time. Main eventers on the male side, they get time. The mid-carders, they get their time most of the time. And then now you have the one out thing is the women's mid-card side, tag teams. You put them both at the same thing. They have at least, I think in the last couple of weeks, they've had less than 20 minutes in total. And they believe there's been 4 matches. And like all of them have been less than maybe 10 minutes in total on all of them. It's actually crazy and embarrassing that nobody mentions it. But I'm going to mention it because to me, if you're going to put those on TV, then put them in a dark match or something. Please don't be putting them on, on Monday Night Raw. If you want Monday Night Raw, we need some competitive, good matches. Like Chelsea Green, Piper Niven for Katana Chance, Kitty Carter. If you put that in, like if that was like tag titles a couple months ago, that's a big match. Hell, you put Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus them. You're getting a good, and put them up for the tag titles. You're getting a good match. But if there's no title on the line, it's like it's ruined. And that's what I've been talking about with the women's tag titles. They've just been ruined. There's nothing to do with them. The tag titles, you're putting up too many random tag teams that don't make sense. Like, do we have to remember how many times they've had to put Liv Morgan and Raquel in tag teams? Hell, how many times they've had to put Chelsea Green in a tag team with someone? And none of those were even her fault either. Entries suck. That's where they just need to stop, like, get rid of the whole tag titles and just put in mid cards. Hell, you can. Kairi Sane and Asuka are both champions. You give one championship, you give one the other championship, you split them apart on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and boom, here you go. And hell, they could thrive with it. Asuka and Kairi Sane would thrive with those titles if they turn them into singles gold. And hell, they need to get rid of it. Like the women's tag titles are about as bad as the 24/7 championship, and I'm gonna say that right now. It is about as bad as the 24/7 title. No, it's worse than that right now. They're at the end of their run with the tag titles. There's a reason why NXT got rid of them. There's a reason why they got brought in a mid-card championship. It's because they don't have any tag teams to work with. And boom, do that with, and like I said, it could be NXT's the guinea pigs. They could be the guinea pigs. Oh, if it works for them, it works for us. Because I remember Shawn Michaels talking about a women's singles gold or mid-card championship, and he kind of shut it down, but this year he's bringing it in. So it's like, you see something, you look at it, you see it, and it's like the fans want to give it to him. And maybe NXT is just the guinea pigs of the whole situation. Maybe if they go well for Raw and SmackDown, it's like, then yeah, we go with it. But the fact that they have to use NXT as guinea pigs for it, if that's what I'm assuming they're doing, then that's just sad in my opinion. And then Jey Uso, Finn Balor, they had a good match. Jey Uso with the win. Cody Rhodes cut a promo introducing Jey Uso. Cody Rhodes offered to stick to ringside with him, made sure that Judgment Day didn't get involved and all that. But Uso told him that he was fine; he could do it on his own. And Cody Rhodes, before he leaves, he goes, "Until we eat again." That is such a yeet joke, I guess. I don't even know what that one. It caught me off guard a little bit. Not gonna lie to you, but it was funny. And by the way, Cody Rhodes, you're a bum because you haven't defended your championship in a week. You're a Roman Reigns type person, so get your part-time championship off my show. That's a joke, everybody. That's a joke. And one thing, in the main event, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable, for the Intercontinental Championship. They had a very, 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 it was a certified banger. It was an amazing match. They came out, and the way that Jey Uso left the arena and then came back in, or came out to where Sami Zayn, was out of the building, and he's telling, Jay about his, history with this building, and he's coming in how he first started. That's through the front door. And the camera production crew has been so well since Kevin Dunn has left. Like, I don't know what I know Kevin Dunn helped save film, and that's why he was able to keep his job. But, like, there ain't no way that you kept him around for 30 years because of that. Or 30, 40 years because of that. Because, my God. The way they're running production now makes Kevin Dunn look like a fucking bum. It makes Vince McMahon look like a fucking idiot for keeping him around all these years. But the way they're able to bring the cameras into the crowd, through the crowd, have the entrances through the crowd, and Sami Zayn's entrance was probably one of the best ones in Monday Night Raw history, in my opinion. Coming through the crowd and having the way the angles they were and like showing the whole arena, it's very clean, cool. And then Chad Gable comes out, and they have a really good match. A lot of German suplexes. I feel like one of the things coming into this, it's like Chad Gable teached Sammy how to beat Gunther, but it's like Chad still got his tricks up the sleeve, and he pulled a lot of them out, and Sammy was able to defeat him with a Kaluma kick. And they shook hands. Sammy went out to hug his wife, and then you have to be some kind of hater to come out and suplex someone when they're hugging their wife, because that's what Chad Gable did. And the Chad Gable heel turn has officially begun. And he takes out Sammy, and the show ends with Sammy being on the turnbuckle and Chad Gable on top of it, put him in an ankle lock. Very cool way to end Raw. The way they had the camera put and everything was just very smooth. I liked it a lot. Chad Gable, and one thing I like that Chad Gable's a heel, but there's a couple things I have some concerns on, because one of them has to be with Alpha Academy. If they want Sami Zayn to be a heel that they could really believe in, that's a heel like a Kurt Angle type heel, they gotta take them off. They gotta take them off with them. Like, they gotta put Otis and Tozawa in NXT or do something on their own with them. And the next thing they have to do is put the Creed brothers with them. Kurt Angle, the Kurt Angle had Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin with him. Boom, Chad Gable has Julius Creed and Brutus Creed with him. That would be very cool to see. And the next thing my concern, and this is the biggest concern of the whole thing, is we know how the heels have been booked since Triple H has taken over. And it comes to see with a lot of guys. If you have one good year, then the next year you're gonna turn or you're gonna do something, and then the next thing you're gonna be losing all year. And one of the examples I want to put is Shinsuke Nakamura. He was put as a heel. He didn't even get him as a heel, and the way they had him presented, he should have won the World Championship off Seth Rollins. The way they had Finn Balor presented as a heel with Judgment Day, with him as Seth Rollins, he should have won the World Championship, but he didn't. They had Seth hold it on, until Drew beat him. Which, the story with that is still okay, but still, you have them two guys, and I feel like they still should have won. And then now you see, how Finn's doing, you see how Shinsuke's doing. Shinsuke was pretty much buried after the whole thing with him and Cody Rhodes. He didn't even get a win off Cody Rhodes, which is crazy to think about when you're a heel. So now, Sami Zayn is a heel. If he goes in as a heel and he does something with Sami Zayn, he doesn't end up with an Intercontinental Championship, in my opinion, that's a very, very big L. And they should have never turned him heel in the first place, if they go with that. If he comes out as an Intercontinental Champion or looking like a potential world champion, then what was the fucking point of even turning him heel, in my opinion? Because Chad Gable is one of the most underrated wrestlers. It's weird. He's the most underrated, but yet he's top 5 best wrestler in WWE right now. Like, if you look best wrestler, you got Ilya Dragunov and Gunther at 1 and 2. It's an argues on who's on which. And I'm probably putting Chad Gable at 3. He is top 3 when it comes to best wrestler. And then hell, you maybe add the Creeds in there as a wrestler, technical, down to the mat, crazy wrestler like Gunther, Ilya. Chad Gable's a top 3 wrestler, and yet he's still considered underrated. That should show you how he's been presented and booked. And now, hopefully, we see a new version of Chad Gable, and hopefully he comes out with a championship. Because if he doesn't, no one's gonna like me and what I have to say on WWE after that point. Because they had a shot with Finn Balor, they had a shot with Shinsuke, and now they have a shot with Chad Gable. And if they blow this one, I don't know. I don't know what to tell them. So, remember to follow the Twitter, follow the TikTok, and subscribe for more content like this. The NXT review will be on tomorrow. Dynamite will be on Thursday, or my review will be on Thursday. And the NFL draft I should have at the end of this week or the start of next week before the draft. Y'all stay blessed. Have a good day. And peace out.